with respect to all the Venerable Maha Sangha and dear Dhamma friends, dear devotees. Today also we are going to deliver you a Dhamma sermon related to the book review of Rerukane Chandavimala Maha Thero. As you all know, now we deliver this Dhamma sermon related to the book named The Explanation of the Factors of Enlightenment. Now this well-written book is one of the elite work of Rerukane Chandavimala Maha Thero. All the facts, all the information is furnished in this profound book, very informative, and those who like to follow the Lord Buddha's doctrine, Lord Buddha's philosophy. Now this is what I can say, this is the core, this is what each and every Lord Buddha's follower should put into action. So in fact 37 enlightenment factors which are aiming the supreme bliss or Nibbana precisely described within this book. So in these 37 factors, if any person inculcate at least one factor within their mind, within his or her own mind, definitely that particular practitioner will find the eternal happiness. So, dear devotees and Dhamma friends, last episode was to discuss Anapanasati meditation, so-called the breathing meditation. There we briefly discussed with you how to attain the Jhana or Jhanic level by carrying out the mindfulness and Anapanasati meditation. Now, what is a Jhana? That is a kind of ambrosial state that you can achieve, that you can reach, where all the hindrances, 5 hindrances are suppressed, and some other 5 factors are developed. Now I am talking here is the first jhana. As you all know, in our doctrine it is given according to the suttas or discourses. There are 4 jhanas that a practitioner can attain: first, second, third and fourth jhana. Namely, if a practitioner thoroughly engage in meditation, especially this Anapanasati meditation, he or she ultimately will end up with attaining the jhana, or so-called first supreme level, first serene level. This serene level or serene state or tranquility in mind, this is what we called a tamed mind, where there is no any distractions. Why? The 5 factors are obsessed by the practitioner. What are the 5 factors possessed by the practitioner? Those are termed as vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. Vitakka means the applied thought, vichara is the sustained thought, and rapture, piti, sukha, the happiness, and concentration and one-pointedness, so-called ekaggata. Dear devotees, what is meant by applied thought? That means the practitioner's mind is bring back to the, or it is mounted onto the meditation object again and again. That is the function, or that is the duty of this applied thought. So it is once the object, meditation object, for instance here in Anapanasati meditation, that is the breathing, in-breath and out-breath, where these in-breath and out-breath air get into contact, especially the nostrils or upper lip, that according to you. So then the contact point or the focus point is the location where you have to always keep your attention. While keeping your attention, you can attain, you can get initially the counter sign, so-called the Patibhaga Nimitta. In last episode we described you what kind of sign is that counter sign, so-called the Patibhaga Nimitta. A practitioner may experience it differently as a star, a gem, a cluster of pearls, a strand of coarse wool of cotton, a wooden stick, a thread, a garland, a smoke, a cobweb, a cloud, a lotus, or even a wheel, and the sun or the moon. If any of these similar sign appears while you are meditating, that means you have reached, you have obtained the counter sign. Now that is some sort of reward that you got by practicing the breathing meditations. Once you got that reward, last day we discussed with you, you have to protect it, like a conceived mother protects her own child's fetus in her own womb. The same manner you have to protect this counter sign. You should not play with it, right? With love and care you have to protect it. Once you care for it, then counter sign should be your meditation object. So in some practitioners, because of the agitation, sometimes that the counter sign, this Patibhaga Nimitta, might disappear, but don't hesitate. Again go back to the normal breathing meditation. Again after a certain while you can achieve the same sign again. So once you contemplate or carry out your meditation further on this counter sign, then you will realize it will become more and more vivid and clear. Then at that stage we call the first jhana, just like you have absorbed into that counter sign. So dear devotees, then what you have to do, actually here you can experience that all those defilements, especially the sensual desires, kamachanda, ill will, the vyapada, sloth and torpor, tīna middha, and regrets or restlessness, uddhacha kukkucca, and finally the doubts and vichikicca. These things, these defilements, actually these are termed as hindrances, which are the obstacles where they cover the noble path. You can get rid from all these hindrances. So dear devotees, that state where you get rid from these hindrances will be a very serene, very calming state. So that is described in certain suttas. If I give you the example, in Samanya Pala Sutta of long length discourses, the Digha Nikaya, the Lord Buddha has given like this: just as a man who had taken a loan to develop his business and whose business had prospered, might pay off his old debts, and with what was left over could support a wife, might think, before this I developed my business by borrowing, but now it has prospered, and he would rejoice and be glad about that. So this is what we call this much of gladness and relief a person will achieve by giving off or paying off all his debts with the interest. Same kind of gladness you can also achieve by suppressing the kamachanda, the sensual desires. So dear devotees, now see that you might also have experienced these kind of stages. Now suppose that think that how you paid off all the debt and loans, and how you got rid from that particular burden from your mind, and what a relief you experience. Now this kind of serene state you will realize, you will achieve by suppressing the kamachanda. The same manner, Lord Buddha given another example how what kind of relief, what kind of gladness you can experience by getting rid of ill will, so called the vyapada. Just as a man who was ill, suffering terribly sick, with no appetite and weak in body, might after a time recover and regain his appetite and bodily strength, and be might think, before this I was ill, and now I have recovered from this great illness, and see, he would rejoice and be glad about that recovery. So this kind of the pleasant state you can achieve from your mind. Think about the COVID pandemic period. So we were frightened and we were threatened by that bad disease. Now once that the last wave was over, once that lockdown season was over, we were relieved. So the same kind of relief we can experience by suppressing the ill will, the vyapada. Another way Lord Buddha given, just as a man might be bound in prison, and after a time he might be freed from his bonds without any loss. Now once a person is released from a jail, from a prison, now that much of relief you will experience by suppressing the third hindrance, so-called thina middha. Whenever you start to meditate, whenever you start to carry out some sort of day-to-day activities even, this thina middha, sloth and torpor, we are disturbed by sloth and torpor. So if you can get rid from this sloth and torpor, definitely that's gonna be a great relief, and you can achieve higher degree of gladness. Another way, just a man might be a slave, not his own master, is freed from that slavery, also would rejoice and be glad about that freedom. The same way, same manner, the freedom you will experience once you suppress the uddacha kukkucha, so-called worry and agitation. Now that is a great freedom you will experience after a long time. So the same way, finally, Lord Buddha has given another example. Just as a man laden with goods and wealth might go on a long journey through the desert where food was scarce and danger abundant, and after a time he would get through the desert and arrive safe and sound at the edge of a village might think, before this I was in danger. Now I am safe at the edge of a village, and he would rejoice and be glad about that. So that kind of serene feeling, emotion, the full of happiness will be there once you reach to the jhanic level, because there is no room for doubt, so-called skeptical doubt, we call vichikicha. So doubt is suppressed, and worry and agitation are suppressed. Sloth and torpor are suppressed. Ill will, the hatred or anger have suppressed and have been suppressed. Sensual desires have been suppressed. By suppressing all these hindrances, you have possessed 5 other qualities. Those are termed as the factors of jhana. As I told you earlier, those are namely vitakka, vitara, priti, sukha, ekaggata. Vitakka, the applied thought that will suppress the sloth and torpor. Vichara, the sustained thought, will suppress the doubt. And piti, rapture, has the ability to get rid from ill will. And happiness, so-called the sukha, can suppress the worry and agitation. Finally, the concentration, that is competent to suppress sensual desire. So once all these hindrances are suppressed by these serene factors, then you will come to a point where the soothing and calming peace will be experienced from your own mind. And also that serenity, that tranquility you have achieved by you. None of any other external party, external counterpart has given that serenity to you. Actually, that is your achievement, my dear Dhamma friends. Now you can be rewarded yourself with this kind of relief. Now, are you ready to be relieved in that way? Actually, this is the way you should treat yourself. Now, all other external parties, or all other members, or maybe your friends, or maybe your enemies, or maybe your colleagues, they can't suffer you. You are the one who should liberate from this harsh journey. So it is up to you. That is your duty and responsibility. You have to put this into action. If I give you insight, what is meant by this applied thought vitakka and what is meant by sustained thought, in Visuddhimagga, an example is given. Applied thought is just like a striking of a bell. Then sustained thought is just like a ringing of the bell. At the very first time when the bell is struck, that initial stage is the applied or application, so-called the applied thought. Then after the strike, the bell start to ring. So that ringing is as the sustained thought. Now this is the simile given in the Visuddhimagga. So then concentration is the one-pointedness and the tranquility, and piti is the initial stage of happiness, that the so-called the primary happiness. Ultimately you find the bliss or happiness. Now this is what we call the jhanic level. Dear Dhamma friends, what next? After achieving the first jhana, that you can develop the first jhana, you can develop the second jhana and third jhana and fourth jhana. I'm not going to describe how to achieve those jhanic levels in this sermon. But if you are willing to achieve those high serene levels, now there are certain books, there are certain scriptures available even today in the internet as well. You can read them, you can go through them, and you can find the information. And also you can find a proper teacher. Especially if you need to develop those jhanic levels, better to find a good teacher or proper teacher. Then you can clear out all your doubts and you can find the correct path easily. Let's move to the next paragraph of this well-written book. The person who has developed a jhana and maintains it can be reborn in the Brahma realm. So, you know, there are 31 realms that we can be born. Dear Dhamma friends, despite or other than 5 Brahma realms, so-called the Suddhavasa Brahma realms, we had been born in all other different realms. In fact, once we were there in the hells. There are 4 hells according to the Theravadic tradition, and there are 6 Deva realms, so-called the realms of gods, and there are 20 Brahma realms, and other than those 30 realms, there is the human realm. So out of those 31 realms, Suddhavasa means, Suddhavasa Brahma realms are termed as Aviha, Atappa, Sudassa, Sudassi, Akanitta. In those realms, only the Anagami Aryans are born. That means, now you know, Anagami in the sense non-returners who have developed the stream entry level, then they have developed up to the Sakadagami level, so-called the once returner. Finally, they have developed their mind into the non-returner Anagami supramundane level. Once they have developed that supramundane level, they are not going to come back to this realm. Especially all the other 26 realms, they are not born. They are not born in those 26 realms. Especially only those 5 Suddhavasa realms are for them to be born. Now, if you develop this first jhana in your mind, now Brahma realms, so-called the Brahma Parisajja, Brahma Purohita, Mahabrahma, likewise now there are 3 Brahma realms you can be born. Once you develop the first jhana in high level, in the highest level, then you can be born in the Mahabrahma realm. If that is quite lower stage, that you will be born in the Brahma Purohita realm. And even lower your first jhana, if you have developed the first jhana into a lower level, then you will be born in the Brahma Parisajja level. What is the significance of to be born in these Brahma realms? Dear devotees, you know the lifespan of the human realm is very short. Nowadays, the maximum or the lifespan of a human will be around 80 years. Even less than 80 years, most of the people would die. The lifespan of the deities are counted in years. Like the deities, especially the devas, they can stay in those the god realms the Chatum Maharajika, Tavatinsa, Yama, Tusita, Nimmanarati, Paranimmita, Vasavatti. Those are the 6 divine realms. Within these realms, now the gods can stay for thousands of millions of years. But you know, the lifespan of a Brahma is even higher. So they can stay in those Brahma realms throughout the eons. You know, eons, so-called the kalpas, we can't imagine the duration. So we can't count the period or the duration by thousands or millions or trillions. So in fact, the lifespan is very long. So, you know, now Lord Buddha was passed away before 2600 years ago. So for these kind of Brahma realms, now that amount of time, 2600 years means relatively a very short time period. There may be Brahmas or Devas, especially Brahmas, they might have seen all the Buddhas who have enlightened within this particular eon. So if I name them, the Buddha Kakusanda, Lord Buddha Konagama, Lord Buddha Kashyapa, and Lord Buddha Gautama. And this is the dispensation of Lord Buddha Gautama. There will be another Buddha called Metteya. That Lord Buddha also will appear within this particular eon. So now there may be, definitely there are Brahmas who have seen all these 4 Lord Buddhas, and they will be there in those realms until the Metteya Lord Buddha will appear in the world. This is what given in the Rerukane Chandavimala Thero's book. Concentration is a cause of arousing as well as developing and sharpening of wisdom. Brahmas who have concentration of Jhana have sharp wisdom. Therefore, if they have a chance to listen to Dhamma, they would be able to realize Nibbana very easily and swiftly. Being in the Brahma realm can listen to the pure Dhamma from Brahmas who have seen and listened to the Buddha and thereby attain Nibbana by developing insight and gaining path and fruition. So, if you are born in Deva realms or in the same human realm, your lifespan will be very short. But in Brahma realms, the lifespan will be very long. And not only that, you will be having high amount of wisdom. You will be very intelligent, because as we carry out the breathing meditation and any kind of tranquility meditation, along with the tranquility or concentration, it develops the knowledge and wisdom as well. So, as the Lord Buddha delivers the Dhamma sermon easily, you will be able to realize the Four Noble Truths. And they say in the commentaries, according to the commentary of the discourse on the setting of the motion of the wheel of the Dhamma, so-called the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, 18 crores, that means 1.8 billion of Brahmas gained the state of stream enterer and attain enlightenment. So, see, that is why, because if you will born in Brahma realm, definitely there will be a chance to see the Lord Buddha, but still you can develop this serenity and tranquility within this lifespan so that you can reach the Nibbana. The best and the most reliable method in this time to be reborn in Brahma realm and listen to the Dhamma and realize the Dhamma in the Brahma world. So that is one kind of relief that you can have if you develop this breathing meditation up to Jhana level. So if one is born there, one can live there until the Metteya Buddha will be born in the world. Now see, the Trerukane Chandvimala Thero says, today for those who pledge for the Buddha Metteya to be born in the sensual sphere, the time that they will have to be reborn would perhaps exceed more than millions. Who can predict what would happen to them during this time? Sometimes having done evil deeds in samsara, when the Buddha Metteya would be born in the world, most of them might be still suffering in the hells. So if they will have to stay in the hells at the time of the birth of the Buddha Metteya, they will never get the chance to see the Buddha. Even they see the Buddha, they cannot attain enlightenment. Thus, that dispensation of the Buddha also would be a fruitless one for them. If one were reborn in the Brahma realm, it would never happen, therefore. It would never happen. Therefore, it is to be stated that the excellent way to seeing the Buddha Metteya and attain Nibbana is also developing Jhana and be reborn in the Brahma world. Dear devotees, even though we emphasized here to attain Jhana by carrying out the breathing meditation, but gaining Jhana, one can be reborn in the Brahma realm, but unable to attain Nibbana. So, to attain the Nibbana, you have to carry out the insight meditation. Insight meditation means the Vipassana meditation. Attainment of Nibbana by release from samsaric suffering is only through gaining the supramundane paths and fruitions. Actually, by carrying out the insight meditation only, you can reach the supramundane levels. Then only you will be competent to attain the Nibbana. Here, now, serenity, so-called the tranquility or concentration, that is the foundation for the practicing of insight. You know, if you have practiced some kind of meditation session, you know, mind wanders easily here and there. So, if you can tranquilize your mind up to a certain degree or certain level, then it will be easy to carry out the Vipassana meditation or insight meditation. So that is the benefit that you can have from this tranquility meditation. So, mindfulness of breathing can be led to insight by two ways. Now, this is what given in the book. Developing insight based on mindfulness of in-breath and out-breath, that is the first method. Second method is developing insight based on jhana gained through practicing mindfulness of breath. Now, dear devotees, what is meant by developing insight based on mindfulness of in-breath and out-breath? Now, this is how one should develop insight based on in-breath and out-breath. One who is interested on it should arise from concentration and investigate the cause of the correlation of in-breath and out-breath. You know, once you reach the jhanic level, while having that jhana, you can't carry out the insight meditation. You have to rise from the jhana, but staying on the same place, then you can convert your serenity meditation into the insight meditation. Now, in insight meditation, what you are going to contemplate on is how this breathing process occurs. You know, the practitioner who investigates will see that both in-breath and out-breath are correlated with this body. Now, this is what we call Kayanupassana. In fact, actually this breathing cycle is a bodily process. You know, this nostril and this windpipe and as well as the lungs, this respiratory organs should be there to carry out this breathing process. And also there should be the mind. You know, a dead body, it also contains the nostrils, windpipe and the lungs, but the dead body does not carry out any kind of living mechanisms, such kind of breathing. Why, dear devotees? Because there is no consciousness. So to have to carry out this breathing process, there should be the consciousness as well. That means the mind should be there. So likewise, the practitioner can contemplate on how this breathing mechanism, how this breathing body works. Now this practitioner, as he investigates, that he can understand that this form, that means the rupa, so the body is nothing but a heap of earth elements. So then he can realize, now this body is made up of Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. Earth element means the Patavi. So the same manner, Apo, the water element, Tejo, the fire element, Vayo, the wind element. So these are the ultimate divisions. Now, according to the doctrine, we can find from which the body is made of, the form is made of. So these elements you can realize. Now you can have the knowledge about these elements. While having the knowledge, with the development of the wisdom, you can get this insight. Now these elements, now they are subjected to the impermanence, and because of the changing nature, they are subjected to the suffering, and also with all these things, the impermanence and suffering, those are subjected to the selflessness. Actually, we can realize the anicca, dukkha, anatta, the so-called three signata, or this tilakkana of all these forms. Dear devotees, after that, the practitioner should seek and investigate the one who recognizes these forms, who investigates these forms, and who knows these forms and how. That means, now the seeker or the practitioner will realize there is no a particular person. This is Nissatta Nijjiva. We can't find a particular being. You will realize that there is no person or a being to recognize forms, but the arising of consciousnesses, vijnana, to understand and know them. So here the rupa part, so called the form, and the nama part, so called the mind or consciousness, and all the other concomitants, mental concomitants, can be realized by the practitioner. They arise and they vanish. Likewise, uppada, titi, banga, so called udaya, vaya, the arising or origin and the decay, all these phenomena, all these nature, that practitioner can realize. Once realized this nature of the form and the corporeality, form and the mind, then the practitioner will be gain the higher degree of wisdom. So with that insight, if that particular person will develop further and further, he will be able to attain the supramundane level, so called the magga chitta, and as well as immediately after the Magga Chitta, the Phala Chitta. Now here the practitioner should understand and take them into mind separately, that the group of earth elements etc. are what is form, rupa, and what they are known through and recognized, and the group of Dhamma based on them, namely consciousness, contact, feeling, perception and volitional formation, are named so-called included under the Nama part. Evidently, it is to be understood that apart from this, there is nothing to be grasped as I am. That understanding is the purification of views. This stage is termed as Ditti Visuddhi. So, dear devotees, once the practitioner has realized, now there is no a person, there is no a being, it is just the elements of Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, it is just the consciousness and mental concomitants, the Nama, the section, then the practitioner will realize now there is no a person that to be named as I am. Now this level is higher stage, so-called Ditti Visuddhi, the first stage of the Sapta Visuddhi. Dear Dhamma friends, with the further development, the practitioner also will realize and understand the Devas or deities and Brahmas themselves are part and parcel of name and form. They are not the creators of this name and form. You know, nowadays there are believers of a creator, or in some religions they believe on a supreme God who is the creator of all this universe. But according to our doctrine, dear devotees, the practitioner with the insight, with the knowledge and wisdom, he will realize all these Devas, Brahmas, they are also made of these Nama and Rupa. Once understood that level, the practitioner can go through the dependent origination. That means cause and effect. How this form is appeared, how what is the cause of this form and what is the cause of this Nama or the mind and the mental concomitants. The practitioner who contemplates upon the dependent origination can understand this name and form are dependent on other things and they themselves are also conditioned. He can understand that this mass of name and form was originated in the past, dependent on conditions like ignorance. In the present as well as in the future also, it will be originated with the same conditions. As the result, he can dispel all doubts of the three times of present, past and future. Dear devotees, now once realize, now all these forms and mind and consciousness, they are made up of, they are arise due to cause. Then, and once realize those conditions, that practitioner will get the knowledge about the impermanence. All conditional things are impermanence or as impermanence. Then once realize this impermanence, then the change, and due to the change, the dukkha or suffering, and finally the selflessness. There is no a person, no a being, we can't say I am. Then the person will fortunate enough, the practitioner will fortunate to achieve the supreme or supramundane levels, the stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, and the arahanthood. Finally, dear devotees, let us understand how one should develop insight based on jhana. Now it is given in this profound book. The practitioner who has gained jhana and having entered jhana and emerged from jhana should contemplate upon and investigate the factors of jhana and their correlation. When investigate, he can understand that this body itself is the base of jhanic factors. Then he should understand the solidity on earth that belong to this form, and then should separate name and form, nama rupa. So the same way like in the previous method, we are developing insight based on mindfulness of in-breath and out-breath. The same manner, once the person realized the jhanic level, attained the jhanic level, he can emerge from that jhana, and then again he is to contemplate on the form and the nama and the rupa. So while realizing, he can separate these nama and rupa, and ultimately will realize the impermanence, so sorrow and suffering, and as well as the selflessness. Finally, everybody cannot gain jhana. So that is what given in this thought-provoking book. The Rerukane Mahathero has told us, everybody cannot gain jhana. If one thinks to practice insight only after gaining jhana, that would not be possible in this lifetime. Of the two, gaining jhana and gaining path and fruition, what is more important is gaining the state of path and fruition, not jhana. So the most important thing, dear devotees, the gaining the fruition, attaining the enlightenment, not attaining the jhana. So jhana is one kind of reward that you can achieve, but still to get rid from this harsh journey, to liberate from this samsara, definitely you have to develop the insight. So, but by practicing the breathing meditation, if you can get the concentration into a higher level, so-called the jhanic level, it will be the foundation so that you can easily develop the insight with the suppression of the hindrances, so that you can easily carry out this insight meditation, so that you will realize the impermanence, the suffering, and the selflessness. That can be gained without obtaining jhana. Therefore, it is better practice both serenity and insight together as tandem, rather waiting until obtaining the jhana. Even without serenity, if one could practice pure insight itself, is good. At the beginning, if practice serenity for some extent would be also suitable. Dear devotees, in our doctrine, there are different techniques, different methodologies, so-called samatha, pubbangama, vipassana. Vipassana, pubbangama, samatha, and yugananda. Samatha, pubbangama, vipassana means initially the practitioner start with the tranquility meditation. Later on, he converts into the or transfers into the insight meditation. Some practitioners, at the beginning, they carry out the insight meditation, then they transfer their practice into the serenity or tranquility meditation. Most of the practitioners, now what they do is, now they carry out both this insight meditation and tranquility meditation together. So having said that, I would like to wind up today's Dhamma talk. So today we have discussed with you how to carry out the breathing meditation, so that by breathing meditation how to develop the jhana level. So that is the ultimate goal in tranquility meditation, where you can develop into the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and also the fourth jhana. Once you attain that level, then you can raise from the jhana, and again you can convert your practice into the insight meditation. Finally, you have to realize the impermanence, the suffering, and also the selflessness. Then you will be able to gain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. So this is to liberate, this is to let go all the suffering, and this is to let go all the hindrances. So it is over to you, dear Dhamma friends. Now this is to execute, as I told you at the beginning. So put this thing into action. So within this Gautama dispassion, may you all become fortunate to liberate from this harsh journey of samsara. Dear devotees, today's Dhamma sermon was related to the breathing meditation. So now that is the end of the establishment of mindfulness of body as body. In fact, there are 14 different meditation practices given in Satipatthana Sutta, but anyway, within this book, in this volume, there is no explanation of all the other meditation practices. But now you can see the Trerukane Mahathero has explained everything, most of the details related to the breathing meditation. So if you need to find out the information related to the other meditation practices, you can go through the Visuddhimagga, so called the path of purification. Now here we are concluding the mindfulness, the establishment of mindfulness of body as body. So next episode we are going to discuss with you the establishment of mindfulness of feelings as feelings. So having said that, let's transfer the merits that we have earned today to the contributors. For this meritorious deeds, the contributions are made by Mr. Saman Kumara Gampaha, his wife Champika, daughter Harshani, and all other involved. May the ailing wife, Mrs. Champika, be blessed with the full recovery and good health. With the power of the merits that we have collected today, may all members of the family be granted freedom from illness and robust health. May continuous progress and protection be bestowed upon all the members of the family. May the mother W.M. Somavati and mother Jayavati, who are currently in an ailing condition, also be blessed with complete health and recovery. May Mr. Dinesh Saparamadu and all members of his family be granted good health and unceasing prosperity. With the power of the merits that we have earned today, may the Senate Group of Company of Colombo 7, Apigo Company and Aplova Company all continuously prosper and flourish. Further, may the immense merit collected be transferred upon all your departed relatives, including the late A.L. Somapala, the father, A.L. Vasanta Kumara, brother, K.D.G. Saparamadu, the father, and mother Aryavati Saparamadu. May they all attain the everlasting happiness, Nibbana. May you all be well and happy. May the blessings of the Holy Triple Gem be with you all. Theruvan Saranai. Akasatta Chibummatta Devanaga Mahiddika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Sasanang Chiran Rakkantu Desanang Chiran Rakkantu Mamparanti Abhivadana Silissa Nichang Vadda Pachayino චත්තාරෝ ධම්මා වඩ්ඩಂತಿ ආයුවන්නෝ සුඛම් බලං ආයුරාරෝග්‍ය සම්පatti සග්ග සම්පatti මේවච අතෝ නිබ්බාන සම්පatti මිනාතේ සමිච්ඡතු.